Hello, mate. How are you? You okay? Oh, sorry. Let me unmute you. There you go. You just muted your end. You need to unmute. Yeah.
Hello.
That should be it. Hello, mate. I can hear you, buddy. That's it. All systems go.
Beautiful. How are you, mate?
Good.
That's a shot.
It's a warm one here, but I guess you're used to warm ones.
Yes. Still at the moment, yes.
But yeah, all good. Fairly mellow start today, which is never a bad thing.
That's it.
So.
All right.
So, as I said, there was a couple of things I wanted to have a look at with you. I can send them through, but based on what you sent through, I thought it might be useful. And there was also some charts you wanted to have a look at as well, wasn't there?
Oh yes. I'm just don't know if I've got them on this one at home. I'll have to have a look. Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll start with one of the things you raised was now what I did is I put this together. You can see, you should see a little spreadsheet on there.
Yes.
So what I thought I would do with this is just go through sort of what my agenda usually is. Okay.
Yep.
And then what I've done is I've stated the purpose.
Yes.
So if we're looking at, I open up FinViz in the morning just to sort of see what, or CNBC, doesn't really matter, just see how the US performed overnight, because obviously it's going to have a direct influence on the ASX.
Right.
And then because of that relationship between indices, particularly the S&P 500 and the US dollar index, going to have an impact on that. So I put importance there, and then I put sort of what you're looking for, so what the key issues are with it. So it's really what to expect. Actually, I might just make that a bit clearer. So really, it's all about what impact it's going to have on the ASX in the next session, and the impact on and the impact of the numbers on trend. So, for example, if what I'll do is I put US trend there just to clarify it. So, if, for example, the there's a down day, and it's you would look at things like, is it near a support resistance? Is it just a pullback? What's the extent of it? That sort of thing. And then I put in the last one, what sources I use.
Okay. Oh yeah, beautiful. Yep.
So then my next check would be the headline drivers behind the numbers. So this is the tricky bit, and you'll only get if you do it regularly. So there are some, obviously you open up CNBC and there's lots of bits of news there.
Yes.
So your challenge is to sort of decide what are the major things that are impacting on the market and are likely to going forward. So what are the major, that's what I've called them, the drivers. So things like the election, or things like a stimulus, whether a stimulus is out or not, or is it those bond yields again affecting everybody. So it's really just to see if those ongoing drivers are still there, and then you can pick up headwinds and tailwinds. The rest of the sort of stuff is really just short term, trying to explain what went on, and maybe a couple of stocks to look at. So there's actually very little in terms of that news feed that catches my eye beyond that, because essentially then you've got usually a headline about futures.
Yes.
And really with that you're looking for changes in sentiment, and obviously towards the back end of the day, you're, because of obviously forward looking, you're looking to see whether, as I've said there, whether there's likely to be more risks or opportunities going forward. So you see the US futures up 0.5%, then that sort of says, well, look,
it's looking promising.
It's looking promising, but obviously this changes during the day at the various forex times. It's one of the as information comes into the market. Then there's just having a quick scan of the US dollar index versus the others. So that's that
Yes.
bottom line on FinViz.
Yes.
So obviously, if the US dollar has had a big movement versus others, you can see which to have a look at versus the USD. And then, of course, then if you sort of see, oh, well, the yen hasn't done very well against the USD, but the Aussie has, then it means that you can start to look at the Aussie yen.
Yeah, correct. Now, so yeah, I use the futures one for that. That one I'm reasonably comfortable with. That's pretty easy. You can, as you say, you just look, and if one of them's up and something else is down, then go and have a look at them as a currency pair, and hopefully
Absolutely.
that should be reflected. Yeah. So that one I've got. Probably the one I struggle with is the one you said before, the headline drivers. That's the one that I sort of look at it and, okay, where I'm having troubles is gauging, and it's the same with on that the upcoming news on the Go Markets
the
website.
economic data on the bottom.
Yeah, it's sort of okay. Some of them you've got the red bar to show you it's important, but you know, if it says it should be 0.5% and it's 0.4, is that going to be a huge difference, or is that bugger all? That's where I struggle.
It's a great question, and I think this is going to sound pretty vague, but it's all to do with market context. So, for example, obviously inflation has been the major theme over the last couple of weeks, of the potential for inflation. So if you take the CPI number, then even a small change in that is going to influence sentiment, because really it's almost like the market says, right, this is the important number for right now. Over the last 12 months, it hasn't mattered.
Yeah,
but because everybody's talking inflation and bond yields are reflecting that, etc., then all of a sudden that number becomes important.
Yep.
And in a normal economic environment, it is quite important, because it's a combination of that and jobs data that central banks work on to decide whether to raise or lower interest rates.
Right.
So, but now it's a particularly testy issue. It's like pricking your finger on something, and then for the next few days, every time you touch anything with your finger, it's just more sensitive.
Yeah, gotcha.
So it's sort of like that at the moment. I mean, there's obviously the big ones, there's the GDP numbers and jobs numbers and interest rate decisions, but outside of that, there's not. What the market's doing is looking at and saying, well, look, is where we're at the moment okay based on those numbers?
Right.
So does it support or challenge where the market is right now?
Okay.
And that's based on the time. So it is. It's the sort of thing that if you keep looking at it, it'll start to make sense.
Right.
And we can. I mean, have a listen to how I talk on whenever you can make those daily sessions or on Inner Circle when we do that market watch bit at the start.
Yep.
I'll usually point out what the major drivers are. So just keep plugging into them if you can, and
right, and get a feel for it.
Yeah, what I might do going forward is once you get your little system going, because the next thing with this spreadsheet is to put how many minutes it should take you. So you should be able to whiz through this when you're feeling more comfortable about it. You should be able to whiz through this in about 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Just to get that feel. But that's obviously going to take a little bit of just a little bit of time. So what I might get you to do is maybe on a couple of days where you know you haven't got a horrendous work day when you walk into the office. Is actually get you to do it and send me it through. So what your perception is. So you're almost doing.
Perfect. That's what I was going to suggest. I was actually going to say, can I catch you for 5 minutes or something or other, and we'll do it reverse, and I'll go through it and tell you what I'm thinking, and you can gauge from there whether I'm on the right track. But yeah, I I can just jot it down and send it to you in an email. That's easy enough.
Yeah. I mean, look, let's do that, and then we can have a. There's nothing wrong with having a quick chat for 5 minutes. Sometimes that's easier than trying to put it together in an email. But there is a good reason why doing it. Maybe a combination of those two would be good, because by actually writing it down, you're thinking of you sort of like you're
thinking about it more. Yeah.
Thinking about it a little more. So I think there's scope for two, and maybe we should lock a couple of sessions in where maybe we just pick up a phone and say, right, okay, Mike, this is what I think, A, B, C, D, E.
Yep.
And importantly,
Perfect.
what that means for markets. And then,
yes.
And then we can, and then you can just do a couple of tests with dropping some emails through as well. Just
that'd be fantastic, Mike.
Almost, no worries. Almost creating a headline for each of these. So you're almost saying, like I do for that news wrap thing that I do at the start. So I'll make a comment on. So if you look at what I do, I usually make a comment on what's happened to the US indices. Then.
Yep.
The only other thing, and I'll just put it at the bottom here because I'll send you this through, is what's happening today. So you'll usually sort of, let's say right now, okay?
Yep.
Because you'll usually sort of, when I do it, and really the purpose of this is what I thought happening.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Yep.
Because if it isn't,
you need to know.
Yeah, you need to know. And it means that something else is going on. It maybe is becoming a new issue.
Yep.
So, what you'll see is me start off by saying, "Oh, and this is what happened overnight in the US, and this was the reason why." And maybe right now it's important which indices are moving, which is not necessarily always the case or often the case. But right now, if the Nasdaq moves higher as it did on Friday, and the Dow moves lower, then what that suggests is a bit of repositioning, and the fact that people are possibly seeing, with the Nasdaq getting hammered a little more, people are possibly seeing a little bit more interest in there, or it could be simply short covering at the end of the week. So sometimes you're in that position where it could be one of two things, and it's usually the market response or how the market responds next that is your guide as to what it is.
Right, okay.
So you'll often hear me sort of see that. I'll say how the indices performed overnight, what the major driver was, and then say, and today the US futures are X.
Yep.
And the Asian markets are following that US lead, which invariably they do, probably 4 times out of 5. They'll follow what's happened in the US. And if they're not, then there's something else going on. And then I'll talk about the US dollar and precious metals, and then what data's coming up. So that's really the process that I would use for that news section at the start. So let's give it a shot in terms of, I'll send you this through so you got it as a reference just to help, and you can make your own notes on it.
Yep. Okay. So what you want me to do is take the item in the bold and just so overall US indices and put what my thing is and send that through. Yep. Beautiful.
Yep. And I think over a period of the next sort of 2 or 3 weeks, you'll find because you're essentially actually looking at it using this process, you'll find that it gets easier and easier. And from a time point of view.
What time do you normally do that? Do you allow the market to open for half an hour first, or?
Yeah. So usually I'll wait until at least the Aussie market has opened. So sometime within that first hour.
Yeah, gotcha. Yep.
I mean, the only thing that I haven't got at that stage, and what that also gives, is a chance for that early evening, that early morning cooking of some FX pairs as well. Because if you look at it right on market open, there's going to be no difference. Because remember, what you see on FinViz is what's changed since the US market's closed.
Okay. Yep.
So it's not the last 24 hours. It's what's changed since that close of the futures markets in the US.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So early doors, you're not going to get a lot of change if you go much before 7. Now with the rest of them, you can certainly, obviously, you'll know what the US indices were, the headlines. You'll know what precious metals have done. You'll know what the VIX is doing and what economic data is coming out. So it's really those last couple of things in terms of, well, that's okay, that's all very well and good, but what does it mean to markets now? Which is really
that's the big one.
It is because that determines your progress. And then of
Mm-hmm.
course you might have there might be a couple, and again you can reference this, and maybe one thing for you to think about is when European markets are about to open, or when the data starts to come out of European markets, you'll see the change in the futures.
Right.
So it may be worth so towards the back, if you're trading primarily in the last hour of the day, if you're doing share CFDs, for example, then it makes sense just to have a recheck on what the futures are doing. Nothing else will have changed.
Right, gotcha. Yep. And that's because, but hang on, when's the European market open? That's right after we close, isn't it?
It is. So you've got to. So it depends it depends what you're trading on the day. Now this is all screwed at the minute because of time differences, which was because essentially already the US have changed the clocks, but we don't change ours till the 4th of April. Sorry.
Yep.
So this is all over the shop at the minute. I don't think the UK has changed, but this would be now. This would be now an hour earlier, so it'd be 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. for New York. So all I'll do is I'll change that. But of course, in another week, it's all going to change again, and then when European markets, it'll change again. So what I might do is I might wait until after the clocks have changed and then smash another one of these together.
Yeah, okay. It should come through on the on the sentiment. What is it? The session. What do they bloody call it in Go Markets? Session. Come on, where are you? Session times or something?
Yeah. If you look at the specifications.
Yeah, there's actually there's like an expert advisor or one of those type of things. I can't. Where in the bloody hell is it?
You show me.
Where is it?
While you're looking for that, but there to answer one of the other questions in terms of that'll do the job. So in terms of your trading, because one of your questions, or one of the things you wanted to get a handle on was obviously what time is the best time to trade FX, and it's undoubtedly when the session's open.
Okay.
Undoubtedly, because that's when most market participants are looking at it. So you get all of the European banks, institutions, as well as individuals looking at it when European markets open, and then that will sort of and ask yourself the question: is that confirming trends that are in place in the Asian session, or is it dismissing them? So for an FX, so for a share CFD point of view, unfortunately, you're right. The ASX closes before European markets are opening, so that makes it more difficult. You're basing your judgments on whether on information which isn't mature. But there's no other choice, and so you've got to
that's right.
You've got to ask yourself the question: well, would I rather that the futures were green and moving up, or would and that means that all things that I can consider right now, does that support an entry at this particular position, position size?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're doing FX, obviously, or indices, you're obviously looking for that response on European and US market open.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'll flick you that through for right now, but that sounds
Thank
like you've got something there that's going to be useful anyway. But you can always double check on the if I sort of right click, for example, on the NDX, and you look at specifications. If you just float your way down here, it'll tell you when the sessions are. But obviously these are, so it's shut for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So it shuts at 23:15 because remember midnight is midnight in the US. Oh, sorry, this is all platform times. Sorry.
Yeah,
So,
platform time. Yeah.
So that's where that's at. But you'll get a handle on that. And as I say, I'll send out a list. But it sounds like you've got something that would be useful. But that's where, because that's where most of the activity is. That's where most of the obviously, if you've got an up move in something and there's more volume, then it tends to be, you tend to get people getting very excited about it, and therefore it's got a little more longevity than if there's not, because markets tend to go a bit quiet from about after the first couple of hours of Asian session open. Markets tend to they'll have that initial move and they'll get a bit quiet. So if we look at maybe at Aussie Open, so there you go. There's the first 2 or 3 hours of Asian trading, and then we get really a bit of a flatlining going on until the European markets open. Same here. So first couple of hours we've got a down move on the AUD, and then an up move, and then sort of after that. Sorry, but again, it's those first 2 hours where it moved a lot, and that was around about it moved a little. That was about 24 pips, and then by the time we got the US market open, then we got another dip of around about 30-40 pips.
Yeah, so, gotcha. Yep.
And again, you look at the dip here, and that was this coincides, that action coincides with European market open. Obviously, if you change it a 30-minute chart, you can see that in a little more detail. So we've got Asian market open, drop, European market open, moved up, US market about to open, drop. So, I mean, it was unusual because it was a Friday. But here we go again, Asian market open, then flat lines, European market open, then flat lines, US market open, bouncing all over the place like a mad thing.
Yeah, and that's a good thing though, because you can still trade the currencies and the indices.
Absolutely.
After Aussie close.
So we put the Nasdaq on. It's exactly the same picture. With this one, there was, because it was Friday, markets thought we have no idea what to do here, so we're just going to flatline. Then we had European Open, and then we had the choppy US. So that's European Open, in a tight range again before we get US market, US session open.
Yeah,
so you're going to see that time again, Asia, Europe, US. So you're going to see that time and time again. And that's where the major movements occur. Again here, Asia down move, then we had a flat line. European markets didn't know what to do here, and then we get the US action.
Right.
And this is obviously based on the data. Sorry, on that press conference coming out. So so that's where the economic data ties in, because that invariably, if you look at the US, the major US economic data is when the US markets open.
Right.
Or an hour before the equity markets open. So when European sort of FX and indices, when the New York exchange opens, then that's when you tend to see that initial. So that's So as I said, that's about an hour before equity open usually.
What hours you mean?
Yeah. So it's about
the US.
For the US. So
likewise
with the European data, European data is less clear because you tend to get, it's a bit more scattered, but most of it again is towards the front end. But it isn't quite as defined as the US market info. In that invariably comes out an hour before equity market opens.
Okay, so when's
So-
the European on this chart here? Where's the European market opening? Around on the 17th.
So on the 17th, that would be AGM. That would be about 3 o'clock, which would be about. It would be about here-ish.
Okay. Yep.
Or so you can count on it being. So if we open at 7 a.m. Eastern time, then the European markets will open at 8:16, about 7 o'clock our time at the moment. But that'll change once. It'll move to 5 o'clock once we go back and they go forward. So essentially around here is where the European markets are opening.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's all right. I'll just have to get my head around that. So
I'll do another. Yeah, I'll take this chart, this here. So at the moment, London 7 p.m.
Right.
Eastern time, but that'll change. But what I'll do is when all the clocks have changed, because it's one of those bizarre things that not only is it bizarre that Australia has different, some people moving and some people not, which I've always found peculiar. Something to do with the cows in WA or something.
It's
just
when they're ready to be milked. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. That's what it's on.
Yeah.
So,
weird.
But then the other thing I don't quite get is why there isn't a global move to alter clocks at the same time. That just messes with your head a little more. And so this is the worst time when the US has changed and we haven't.
Yes. Yep.
I wonder when London clocks changed. Let me just have a quick look. Last Sunday in March.
Okay.
So they must have gone.
So when's that? That's another. Oh, actually, it's next Sunday.
There you go, 28th of March. So
yeah,
what we've got, the US has already done. Then the Europeans do it next Sunday. Then we do it the following Sunday.
Yeah, just to fuck us all over.
Absolutely. So just when you think you've got to handle it, so it's the worst time to actually be talking about this.
Yes, it probably is, isn't it?
But what I'll do is come the 4th of October, I'll do a new thingy and then fire it out to everybody. I'll put it as a download.
Excellent, mate. Excellent.
Does that sort of help in terms of right now?
Yes. I'm looking forward. Sorry,
go
on. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that. My take on where we are in the morning and sending that to you and getting some feedback. And
that'd be awesome. I think that'd be really useful.
Yes, and with the currencies, it'd be good to be able to, if I'm looking something later in the day, our time, to sort of be able to say, well, hang on, the London opens up in 2 or 3 hours. I'd be better off waiting and seeing what happens then.
Yeah, exactly.
And because I'm still up at that hour, so you can get something going and then make the decision. Do you keep it with a tight stop loss when you go to bed, or do you rip it off if you're doing good?
Absolutely.
One or the other.
Absolutely. So that's all cool. The other thing that you mentioned, looking at your email, was the need to work how to modify subsystems effectively.
Yeah.
So is this like, so if I go back to, if I just go back to,
Yeah, it's in your slide with the
that trail stop thing.
well, yeah, that's correct. That's the how to do it, but it's coming back to that PowerPoint slide you have where we close the loop. So you're starting off with your
Right.
system, and then under that you got your subsystem, then you've got your next level, and then your revision, and changing that all back to where is she? There, that one. Yep.
That one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So really,
so what we're changing by looking at your stop loss one, that's under the primary system, the second part of it or third part of it. Yeah.
That's a profit risk thing. So we're sort of saying, right, okay, we're going to nail this. So what's in that? Well, there's two things. There's a trail stop system and there's a profit taking system.
Mm-hmm.
So we've decided that on what and with what is essentially that.
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, correct. Yep.
The other, that one.
There she is.
So that's how we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we get some results from that. We say, right, okay, how we're going to do it. There should be maybe another box there which says how, which would be maybe, there we go, which should be maybe, are we going to do it from just the journal trades we've taken and look back on those, or are we, is there nothing, can we not do that for some reason? So let's say it's on, and primarily this is where entry systems are, it's more difficult to do that spreadsheet thing on your entry systems, because you can do it in terms of on trades you've taken, but it may be that it has an influence on trades that you haven't taken as well.
Right. Yep.
Does that make sense? So if you've sort of said, right, okay, let's use the RSI as an example.
Yeah.
So if you had, if you thought, right, okay, I'm going to enter trades or I'm going to sort of put it on my list of trades to have a look at if there's a move from an oversold position. So if it touches below 30 and then it's back in, does that mean the market's feeling okay? It's oversold, so it's going to go up from here. So let's say you were to try something like that.
Yep.
Then, because you haven't taken trades like that before,
you can't back test it on them. You
can't back test it on those. Whereas if you're doing the trail stop system, or the other RSI agenda is, I'm not going to enter trades where the RSI is over 70 on the daily chart, then you can do that. So some of it may depend, in terms of your process, it may depend whether you've got whether your journaling has that information there already.
Yeah.
Let's think of another example. So let's think, when I was talking about maybe altering your position size due to underlying market conditions.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yep. Yes.
So
yep.
I think I put up this spreadsheet and said, well, look, you can come up with a score and then maybe sort of decide how that influences position size.
Yep.
Or whether you take the trade or not. Then again, you can. That's okay, but there may be bits of that which you're not keeping in terms of your journal. So you've got two choices going forward. Is, well, if there is gaps in my journal, is it still going to be useful to test it or not? Or do I need to start from scratch and forward test it for maybe the next 10 trades and see what happens? Another example might be how you're feeling generally. So if we take that psychology side and adhere to the point that I made about maybe about making the decision that you're in a good place to trade. How are you feeling? How are you going? If you're not going well, should you be, or your work day is screwed? Should you be actually looking at the markets at all? Now, unless you're keeping that information, you can't tell. So
gotcha.
So what I'm thinking with this is, is almost get your process sorted for something you can do that with. So it might look at how you set your profit targets, or may look at the position sizing thing.
Yeah, I think that's where I want to concentrate on.
Then we give that a go, and we can get what we can, and then we make a plan. Say, right, okay, Ross, over the next 3 weeks, we haven't got this bit of data here that we need. Just start recording it.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's, but again, that goes back to which subsystem you're focusing on as to what the best approach is.
Yeah. Okay.
So we can talk through that as we go. And then the other thing I thought might be a useful thing for you to do is, I did put up a systems list in that similar presentation. Where is the slide? Okay. So there's that systems list that I put up in the presentation.
Oh, yes, yes, yep.
And we could maybe use that as well if I sort of, you can maybe make a comment on where you are, assuming you obviously your 2 primary systems you're doing and your trading plan. Then that's the focus. But the next step will be to go onto this and say, well, look, how's this hanging for you? Have you got all these in place, or if you haven't got all these in place, which would be the next priority to actually focus on?
What was the accumulation and reduction system?
So let's say you enter an Aussie US trade because it looks good, and then it continues to look good and smashes through the next resistance. Then there's nothing. And let's say you've got 0.2 of a contract, 0.2 of a lot open. Then you've got the decision to make as to whether you add to that or not.
Okay. Yep.
To do it by another. This is still looking like an awesome chart. Do I then add to it? And when you're doing that, you obviously move your whole stops up. Now, a reduction system is not something I do, but some people do, like Magnetic. They do a reduction system, so they would say, right, we're going to take half off at this point in time.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
And probably works because I've always sort of adhered to the. I tried it and it never worked for me.
Okay. Yep.
Because my feeling has always been an exit is an exit. And I don't want to dick around trying to play clever buggers to get another $10.
Yes. Yeah.
But it works really well for some people. It doesn't particularly work well on share CFDs because you've got the extra brokerage involved. So you have to be entering quite big positions to make that worthwhile. Now, I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying it's less obvious as a strategy because you've got additional costs associated with any trade that you make.
Yep.
So it might be one of those situations where you master it on index trading or FX trading, and then say, well, look, and again, you can go back to your results on this. So so let's say you're using then a break of the next key level. So rather than setting a profit target, you're seeing if you're trading a stop behind it, but you're not using a profit target. You're just going to let it run as far as it's going to run. So but it'd be quite easy for you to look at the charts of trades you've entered and say, well, look, that actually broke the next key level. What would if I'd have bought another whatever in that?
What would that have done?
So that's something else I thought that would be useful. Just, of course, first step is just make sure your initial systems are tightened up and perhaps but then going on from there, looking at maybe just adding to your game a little bit. You've already done some stuff on time management anyway.
Yes. Yep.
With your which was a necessity early for you because of your work stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
So you've already done things like the recording your journal information on a phone and things like that.
Correct. Yep. Yes.
Which is all time management orientated.
Time management. Yep. Yep. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not too concerned on you know, what the dollar an hour amount is or anything at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and I don't give a shit if I put 20 hours in a week, where realistically when I'm up and running, it'll, you know, might be an hour.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, it's I'm still trying to get my feet. So as much as the time management, I reckon it's exactly what you said before. How do I do everything and still fit in a day job and shit like that? Yeah.
And you've got and this, what we've been talking about is obviously your daily trading agenda in terms of what you look at when. So we can tighten that a little bit up, but that's probably about it for right now. I think you're absolutely right.
Yep.
So those are my thoughts. Now, if it'd be useful for me to send you this slide through as an individual slide, I'm more than happy to do that, so you can have a ponder about it. Maybe maybe make a note. Here. Yeah, the one that you're seeing, or maybe I put those. Maybe I put this list simply in a maybe just simply in a Word document like this. And then you can sort of make a comment under each in terms of what you're going to do.
Yeah, okay, I gotcha. Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
And then we almost use that. We're almost using that as this.
Yes.
This is what we're doing here, is really sort of making a plan. So I'll put this at the end. We're really making a plan for what to focus on next.
Yeah, gotcha. Yep.
So you can maybe use this doc as a... So just to clarify, as a guide for where you are now and what you want to focus on next. So time management, it is all about that daily agenda. And when you look at markets with accumulation, it's just maybe getting a handle on the system and giving it a test. With contingency system, that's easy. You'll bang smash that out in no time. That's just what, if something happens to you and you're not in a position where you can trade, can the missus give me a call or give the brokers a call and manage it if you're sick?
Yep.
And money flow systems is what you were struggling with over the last couple of weeks. Is what happens if I want to take some money out?
Yes.
And so when are you going to do that? What's it going to be?
Yep.
That sort of thing. And then risk alteration is that things like altering the position size to match markets and that sort of stuff.
Yes. Yep.
And now on top of that, we've got almost the next one be any strategies you want to develop. So at this stage, you're quite comfortable with the breakout system.
Correct.
But is there anything else that you want to just refine or actually have a look at? So say, for example, you wanted to look at a bounce off a 200 MA strategy, because we've seen that quite regularly over the last few weeks.
Right. Okay.
What would that look like? What would that look like in a system?
Yes.
So if there's anything like that, again, I'll flick you this through and you can have a play with it.
Beautiful. Thanks, mate.
Just jot down some notes, and then what we'll do is next time we'll just lock it in. And that'll guide us for the next few weeks.
Gotcha. Yep, that sounds like a great idea.
Cool.
Because that's Yep.
Did you want to sort of have a look at some charts? Me to have a look at some charts with you if I flick the presentation over to you?
If you got the time, why not?
Yeah, absolutely, mate.
Yeah. Okay, so flick me that one. So I'll add on to that, and then we can have a look at that next time we meet. And in the interim, that spreadsheet one, I'll fill that out tomorrow morning on where I think we're at. And
perfect. That sounds good. And we'll just keep doing that until that feels comfortable.
Yep. beautiful, mate. Beautiful. What am I on here? Okay. Let's see, they were on my, or were they? What do you think of this bloke?
I like it actually. Yeah, nice,
so do I.
nice clear line there. Obviously it's had a good run up at the minute, so you would think, well, look, it's going to go one way or the other. Either the market's going to say enough already and drop down from that, but at this stage it looks as though there's a shitload of momentum in it, with that big white candle. So I actually quite like that as a chart, and you've got a nice clear line in the sand to take action on.
Yeah, yeah.
If it closes above that, then you're in a good place.
Yes. I just want to have a look at what was that last one I sent you, mate?
Let me just have a quick look.
AGL. Or was that what we just looked at? AGL's what we just looked at. PTM. Where's that sitting? Yeah, so that was another one on that Thursday and Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, look, Thursday looked great. Obviously, Friday there was a little bit. So that on Thursday, we had that pullback and then a little bit of indecision, and then we had a big move on Thursday and a little bit of a pullback on Friday, but it wasn't a massive one.
No.
It was almost saying, well, look, so you've got a sort of, I would take the closing high if you notice those two wicks are at the same level. So
yeah.
I would always take the closing high as the reason to get into this. Now, the other thing I would say is, if you're looking at platinum, anything to do with platinum, then it makes sense if you look at what's happening to the underlying chart. So if you just open FinViz on the futures, you'll see there's a platinum futures there as well.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, that doesn't look so crash hot.
No,
which is probably why it went down.
Yeah, double click on it. Absolutely. So double click on it and you'll just get a chart up.
Yep. Can you see that?
So that doesn't look, yeah, so that exactly it. So that doesn't look that dissimilar from the chart. And that's sort of reassuring, because you can then say, well, look, the overall chart looks as though it's had a retracement, it's pulled back, it's in a little bit of a state of indecision at the moment.
Yeah.
So if perhaps the stock is looking good, and it's supported by at least platinum looking stable, which it is at the moment, or you would obviously prefer it to be up. But that's going to help your decision making, because you've got a line in the sand which says, look, this is as high as platinum's going to go. So once it starts getting to that level, then you might think, well, look, the underlying asset is tricky. Therefore,
so there's that whole number that you say they like around that 1300. Looks like it. That sort of pulls it up in a hurry, doesn't it?
It does. It does. So once it gets to that, you may take it off, even if the actual equity chart is looking okay, because there's obviously going to be differences. They're not going to move one for one, but it's an indication. You look at trend of, it's a great example. You look at trend of the underlying asset, and then you can sort of say, well, look, if the trend's going in the same direction as I want to take, then that adds weight of evidence to
yeah, gotcha.
And then if the two buggers drop together, then it's sell a V. But but it's actually done. That's actually outperforming the underlying asset, which means that the company is. So it means the market's perception of the company is quite positive. Because you didn't get that spike up on Friday on the underlying asset. So something's going on with the company that says, look, this is actually not bad.
We like it.
We like it. So that might have been an analyst upgrade to say, well, look, platinum's looking as though it's going to test that nice round number again. Therefore, let's try and get ahead of the game.
Right. one other thing, while we just touched on that, when we pop down to the sectors,
Yes.
so when it's showing this sector breakdown, is this a breakdown of the which ones are performing well today, or is this just a
No,
breakdown of the sectors in general?
That's it. That's it. Exactly. So that just says that the Aussie market is really heavily weighted in financials and basic materials. So one of the things that you'll see me doing is on the ASX sessions is just checking in on what are the movers and groovers. Because if it's only one sector that's dragging the whole market down, then that's okay. Or that's a very different.
Okay.
Or that's a very different vibe to a broad market sell-off, if you like.
Yeah. So in other words, if the financials are down, the whole market might be down, but if it's basically all in the financials, the rest of them might be doing okay.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
the finances are dragging it. Yeah. Okay. I got you. Yep.
So that just gives you an idea about, well, what is the underlying, or it just adds to that sentiment picture you're doing on the day. So if you looked at so you see the overall market is 0.56 down. If you go down and look at your ANZ, for example, you can make a judgment. Well, look, is that what's ANZ doing? Well, ANZ was actually up, so the financials are actually outperforming the market. They won't outperform the market. They won't outperform the market on Monday. But if we look at if you look at BHP, you got resources dropping. So Friday it was the resources that were dragging on the market, whereas the financials were without the financials. So then you can sort of say, well, look, but because of the way we are, that's all going to change tomorrow.
Yeah. So the resources is basic materials, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. See, so yep, like everything
all
to
the
do
mining,
with mining.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. The top minerals is down. So have a look at the major players, obviously. Now Newcrest will be slightly differently because they'll respond to gold.
Okay.
But Newcrest isn't. But yeah, have a look at the major, the BHP, the Rio, the Oz Minerals, and the FMG, and that's enough to get a feel.
Yep. All right. No, that answers that. Thank you. Beautiful. Was there any other charts, or was that it? Just those two, wasn't it?
Let me just.
I think so. So even that
no, it was AGL and PTM.
Yeah, ALG. I mean that even spiked on Friday. I'm pretty sure when I was looking at that, I think I was looking at it when it was, because it had only just broken. It must have been around about here. I had the line in the sand there. Yeah. So that would have been, Thursday. She just poked its head up, not enough to say, I'd get in, but I was saying watch it on Friday, and that would have been a bloody good one to get into if it wasn't on a Friday. But having said that, I bet you it's the last hour or so she's not really.
Well, that's what's pulled her back down to that level, down to that support level was that last hour. But you could have been, I mean, you could have been essentially, if you put that on a 30-minute, is that on a 30-minute chart?
Yeah, it's on a 30 now.
It was actually the last 30 minutes.
30 minutes that killed it, yeah.
So you could have quite easily been in that, based on where it was.
On Thursday, the end of Thursday.
On Thursday and on Friday.
Yeah.
And on Friday. So and it's just it would just be unfortunate that it dropped its ass in the last 30 minutes. So,
but if I was on a daily chart, I'd still be in it anyway.
Yeah.
That is she's right on another key level. I don't think there's any. Oh yeah, there is. So so that's a pretty good level, that one, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And then if it breaks that, then what you're around here to start with. Well, that's 16% to start with.
Absolutely.
And then if it gets through there, you're starting to look at 30%, and away you go. You'd be happy with
See,
that. Yeah.
so that's exactly what you do if you're accumulating. So you can say, well, look,
Yeah.
there's the next level. If it breaks that level, it's potentially up another 7 or 8%. So
I'll
when you're
jump in again.
accumulating, you look at it in terms of, yes, I'm in a position already, but I'm putting that to the side for the minute. Looking at this chart, would I be keen to enter it if I wasn't in it anyway?
Yeah. And if the answer's yes, you can jump on board.
Absolutely.
All right. That will be interesting to see tomorrow. And PTM.
Yeah, by all means, they're both worth a good look at tomorrow.
There you go. Look, CUV's not doing too shabby either.
Absolutely. Oh, that's pretty impressive.
Mm.
And you wouldn't have thought there would be those sorts. If you just looked at the overall index on Friday, you wouldn't have thought there was that
sort of a move.
Unless you kept in mind that, look, it could be individual sectors that's dragging the buggers down.
Mm. Yeah, so that's not a bad little day at all.
Yeah.
That's sitting on another key level there too, sort of thing, isn't it? Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. And of course, I'm still sitting, hanging my hat, waiting for this bugger because I was thinking, there's going to be my first short. And every time I get ready to short the bloody thing, it slowly climbs back up again.
Yep.
So
it doesn't seem to want to go down at all, does it?
No. And it was doing such a great job of it at one stage. I think it was down around here. I thought I think I had a line. This is the only thing that annoys me. I do all this work on the charts at work, and then of course I come home and switch it on, and it's a totally different screen.
Yeah,
right where it is now, Mike, and that's where I was looking to come in short, but it just won't play the game. It'll get past the support level.
It looks actually better as a long almost. If it breaks that,
if it breaks out,
it just doesn't seem to want to go down. Yeah, I would put it next level, next one up, at the top of that. Yeah, so if it breaks that,
there.
Yeah, then you'd be looking at that as a long trade.
How bizarre. Hey, anyway,
strange bugger. But that again is so the retail sector did quite well at the back end of the week.
Yes.
So that's sort of a reflection of that.
So Breville's starting to pop up again. Where was the other one we used to do? Harvey Norman. I haven't got him on.
Harvey Norman, yes.
There used to be you could click on it and type the symbol in. I can't find that on this anymore. I've got to actually scroll. H. Yeah. Shit. There's another one.
Ooh. Yep. And if you look at JB Hi-Fi, I think that's probably not
it's going to be the same.
And that was a really nice entry on Thursday, of course.
What's that? Sorry.
That would have been Harvey Norman would have been a nice entry on Thursday, of course.
Yeah, cutting across there, and then bang. Yep. What did we say, JB?
Yeah.
Pull back a little bit on the Friday. Geez, oh, sorry, that's on you. Yeah, well, geez, that's come up a long way in the last.
It has.
Month.
So you've got a line there as well. If you just put it on a line chart, you'll see it pretty clearly, I think. That's about where it's at now, really.
Yeah.
You might take it up a notch just to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room, about there-ish.
About there.
Yeah.
And then have a look and see what our where's it gone? There you are. So what do you got? So that's $1.54, so 75 cents odd. Oh, that's a fair way, isn't it?
It is, but it would take you over that. It would take you over that little noise before. Yeah, it would take you up above all of those kind of.
So it's about 53.10. Yeah, you're dead right. It's got you just over that.
Yeah.
So are the markets settling down again, do you believe, or?
Oh, good grief. No, look, I think that's Friday was a Thursday night. Friday was a scary one, because essentially what you got was almost a complete reversal of what the Fed had said. So it was almost like the bond markets were saying to sticking the middle finger up at the Fed and saying, we don't care what you think.
Oh, okay.
And then Friday was just a reposition on that, because the Nasdaq had got whacked so much the day before, and the Dow had a good day, so it reversed it again on Friday. So that's 3 days, 3 fairly significant days in terms of sentiment, and that's really hard. So
okay.
you need to be so it's exactly what we're doing here. You need to almost be a stock picker. There's no point in just jabbing your cash at some things and hoping, because it could all change in a moment. So what you look at in that situation is for stocks that did okay despite that. So of course retail has done okay despite that.
Yeah.
So whereas the banks have gone up and down like a horse draws, the retail has actually performed irrespective of that headline. So that makes you think, right, if I'm going to put my money somewhere, if I've got a choice of two, which would be the one that would most likely survive another little bit of a market prod?
Yeah, yep, I understand what you're saying. Just very quickly, if you've got another minute or two.
Yeah, shoot.
This will be a great opportunity, I'm hoping. So, okay, we've just said here we were looking at a line at about, is this one? Okay,
Yep.
Mind you, we wouldn't get into this with the MACD like that, but 75, so we said it about the, what did we say, 53.10 or thereabouts.
53.80, 53.80, I guess. 53.85 or something.
53, eh?
So if it's 53.10 now, yeah, add 75 onto that.
Oh, sorry. I thought, no,
So
don't we go onto the line?
So am I not seeing those?
Oh, okay. The support line, the support line I've got is at 52.35.
Gotcha. Yes, so you add 75 cents or what it was.
75. Okay, so around where that line is now. As far as my stop, now this will be interesting. If I go to our friend down here, you bugger. Oh, come on. Now I've got to bloody do that. Wonder why that's done that. Oh shit. I can't remember what it is. Don't worry. What I've been finding is when I jump on the risk calculator, it'll drop a stop somewhere down here, or if we have a look, it'll
probably drop it really low.
Yeah, it'll probably drop it around here or something. So what I've been doing now is saying, well, fuck that. I'm not going to sit around and wait for it to drop that far. If I'm saying that this stock is going to break this level and continue up, then I can't see why I don't just have my stop a little bit under, giving it enough leeway to get under there. and put that, and that will help my position size. So when it does work, it's going to give me more bang for the buck. Would that be the right way to think about it?
Absolutely the right way. So yeah, so I think that's fairly reasonable where the white line is, and that's about. So if you were to do 1.5 ATR, that would be 225, wouldn't it, or something around that?
Yeah, correct.
So
Yep,
that
yep.
would be just below. That would just below 51. So would you be about there, or a bit lower than that? So about there-ish.
Down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, that makes sense.
Yep.
So that's what I'll be doing.
Yeah, I have noticed that it seems to be picking something way down here.
Yeah.
You know, which is logical with some of these points, but I'm just thinking, well, you know, if I'm expecting it to go up, I'm not going to sit until it comes all the way down here before
Absolutely
I say,
not.
oh, I'm wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'll give that a go. I have been looking at some of the past trades and actually doing that to see whether it would have taken me out too early. And so far, it really hasn't, because it's, you know, I mean, I'm still going to lose the $100.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, as I said, why wait until you get that far down the line? So
Absolutely. Yeah, that's on the button, mate.
Yeah, okay. No, that's good. I'm on the right track there. All right. Well, if you want to send me those,
Yeah, I'll flick those through to you.
and then yeah, I think that's a good start, mate. Is there
Cool.
anything else you needed to go through with me?
No, I think that's cool. I think that from my point of view, what I wanted to just get a little bit of clarity on, you did some good work on thinking about it before that, was just what you want to focus on, and I think we've sort of got there. So I think that's good.
Beautiful.
And also a little bit of a preliminary plan to get there, as well as it's not just what it is.
Yep.
So that's
no,
important.
that's good.
Brilliant,
what's
mate.
coming up? Have we got anything on Monday?
No.
No, we haven't. So Wednesday we see you, yeah?
So it's Tuesday, Thursday morning, if work allows, and then of course, Wednesday will be
in a circle. Yep.
In a circle, and Magnetic are popping along to that.
Okay, good.
Have a look, to give us an end of quarter trade to have a look at.
Okay.
So,
I got a chance to have a look at that Metastock webinar on Friday night.
What was that like?
Yeah, it was good. The only thing I've got to try and work out is how, if there's a formula, the one that's probably the trickiest is if there's a formula that you can work out that the close is in the top third of the candle.
Right.
That's the one. Yeah, that's about, because the rest of it's just, you know, crossovers, and they actually used I think they had a crossover of two SMAs, and then a crossover between on the MACD.
Right.
But their MACD came up totally different than what ours does. If you got a sec, I'll show them.
Yeah, there's the MT4, MT5 MACD is very different to any other software or any other platform for some reason.
Oh, is that?
Yeah. So their MACD, I'm guessing, has an extra line on it.
Yeah, but it doesn't have the what do you call them, the histogram bars or anything. To be honest with you, I like the MT5 one, but
yeah. So the histogram bars are essentially, sorry, the extra line is essentially where the histogram is, I think.
Oh, okay. All right. So just looking at this, for example, where's, now I've got to remember how to do it all. It should be in there, is it? Average true range. Here we go. So if I drop it on there, no, see, that'll go on the chart itself, I think. Let's not do that. Let's do, whoops, average true range. Drop it in there. Yeah, so that's all you really get.
Oh, that's the
no,
ATR.
sorry,
That's
sorry.
not the MACD.
No,
Yeah,
wrong one, wrong one,
all good.
wrong one. Ticket MACD I'm looking for. Yeah.
Okay, so what you've got there is you've got two lines. Okay, so you've got your zero line still, and then you've got two lines. So it would make it easier if they weren't the same color, but you see that there's one thicker than the other.
Yep.
So the one that's thicker essentially equates to the histogram. The one that's thinner is your signal line.
Okay, so that means it's within the histogram. Yeah, I think I get what you mean.
Yeah, so that red line, there will be histogram bars there, or the thick red line, there'll be histogram bars there. And the
Yeah.
signal line
Yep.
will be the same.
Yeah.
So it's
Gotcha.
just a different way of presenting
Of
it. So
showing it. Yeah. So what they did is they went a crossover, or the price had to be above the, I think it was a 20 SMA.
yeah,
And there had to be a crossover of the MACD.
Yeah,
You know,
there's a lot of people. That's how a lot of people use the MACD. They look for the crossover of the. So whereas we've been talking about the signal line being an exit for trades,
Yep.
they would see that as a potential entry. So that crossover, that first crossover, because the signal line has gone over, they would look at that as a potential short trade, or that one you're looking at now. Then because the histogram has crossed over the the signal line, then that's potentially a long entry.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
So there are a lot of people who use the MACD like that.
Yeah, well, and that's what that EA, if you like, was based on. Just pretty simple, you know. Price has got to be above the MA. There has to be a crossover here, and then it just puts. They would have put a green arrow there, for example, and then for the other way around, as you just explained, it'd put a red arrow going down that way, you know.
Yes,
and
sure.
then it had a bullish and bearish ribbon down the bottom. But yeah, so I was having to think about that over the weekend. I thought, yeah, I'm not sure how you go about writing a formula to say the price closes within the top third.
Right, gotcha.
There must be a way.
There must be. Let me just do a little bit of research on that, see if I can find anything. Because
Oh, beauty. Thanks, Mike. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Other than that, I couldn't see a reason why I couldn't take my system and write that program for it. And then you can grab Metastock and on a Friday just run a report, and hopefully it picks up a few to look at. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you can make the decision going on as to whether you do live charts, because if it looks as though it's got some legs in it, but you're finding out on that you're missing that first trade, then that's when you make the decision. Well, look, if I had live charts, obviously wouldn't miss on that first trade.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, the first candle. So you can almost use that as a justification or otherwise for getting the live data feed.
Yeah.
So, but we'll think about that. We'll see what we can do in terms of finding something that indicates.
Yeah.
You would imagine it's fairly easy to put something like in that closes higher than open, which are like, if you like, it's the next level down from that. It's sort of saying, well, at least it's a bullish candle.
Yeah, correct. Yes.
Now, whether there's something else you can put in that formula that says it's got to be so much over the open, then maybe that's the way to tackle it on these. But I'll do some digging and see what I can find out for you.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Thanks. That'd be great if you could. I'll have a think over it too, and we'll see what we come up with.
Perfect.
That's about it, I think, mate. Yeah.
No, that's very cool, mate. I think we have a plan.
Beautiful, mate. Beautiful. All right.
So
shoot me through.
I'll fire those. Yeah, I'll fire those through. And look, it's up to you, because obviously this has been a planning session. So in terms of, I'll be guided by you in terms of, I know we said sort of probably fortnightly might be a good thing for you, but If you
Yep.
wanted to kick things off next weekend, just see how you go, and I'll be guided by you in terms of what.
Yeah. Okay. Look,
what works.
if we're going to do that that market watch, you know, every morning for the first week, I think it might be a good idea to catch up, just so you can say, well, you know, you seem to be continually misreading this part of it. You know, that one's
Sure.
good, but you know, and maybe no use leaving that for 2 weeks. Probably a week should be enough.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So,
And that's the way we can play. We can sort of look at what's going on. If it's if it's something specific or a few things that we're looking at, maybe a week is good. If it's more of a sort of medium-term project or part of project, then fortnight would be fine.
sounds like a plan, mate. Sounds like a plan.
Perfect. All right, mate. Well, look,
Cheers,
great to catch up. I think we've got some good stuff going on there.
Yeah,
And,
thanks, Mike.
We shall
We have got some
liaise.
good stuff.
Yeah, so I'll make sure you've got those through today at some stage.
Beautiful. Thanks, mate.
And then we'll take it from there.
Good on you, buddy. Thanks, mate. And I'll catch up with you on Wednesday night.
Too easy, Ross. Okay, mate.
Thanks, Mike.
We'll catch
Cheers,
you again
buddy.
very soon. See you, mate.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye now.